Hey everybody, it's the Van Show, and today I'm talking to my friend Chris Barton. Say hi, Chris.
Hello everybody, how are y'all doing?
Hey, doing all right. Now we're going to start off the show by asking you to fill 1 minute full of everything about you.
All right, I am a native Texan. My mother was born in New Jersey. My grandfathers were a chemist and a football coach. I came to Austin because I wanted to work for the student newspaper at the University of Texas, the Daily Texan. I have one pet. He's a dog named Ernie. The first pet I ever had was a cat named Phantom. She lived a long time. She outlived many, many dogs. I grew up on a street with 7 other houses and a pasture I could go romp and play in at the end of the road. What else can I tell you? My first car I ever had was a blue Chevrolet that was not so great, but it got me where I needed to go. It was a used car that had been my brother's used car before me. My favorite book when I was in 4th grade was Judy Blume's Super Fudge, which my 4th grade teacher let me read out loud in its entirety to my whole 4th grade classroom.
Well, I didn't realize that. So you moved down here to write for a school newspaper?
I did. When I was in high school, I grew up in Texas, so I competed in UIL journalism events. And so starting when I was a sophomore in high school, I would come down to for the state academic UIL championship, and it was always in Austin. It was always on the UT campus. The same week each May when the graduating staff of the Daily Texan, they were publishing their farewell columns. And so of course I would grab the newspaper. I was already interested in journalism, so I would grab the newspaper off the rack and I would read these columns, and they just made it seem like the most idyllic place for someone who wanted to do what I did. A great community to be a part of. So that ended up being the only place I applied back when it was super easy to apply to the University of Texas.
You've written quite a few books in your career.
I have. When I got home just yesterday from the Texas Library Association conference, I had a box on my doorstep containing my 18th book, which comes out in just a couple of weeks. It's a Mighty Truck early reader called Surf's Up. So I now have 18 published books. Wow. I think the last time I talked with you, my 4th book had just come out.
Yeah.
Or maybe my 5th book had just come out.
You're just cranking them out.
I get up early. That's what I do, man.
That's what they say.
I get up around 5 o'clock in the morning. I keep showing up at my writing table, and things accumulate over time.
Yeah, early bird and all.
Yep.
Getting the worm.
Gets the coffee.
The early bird gets the coffee.
Yeah, leave the worm for other people. I'll have the coffee while there's still some.
That's great. And so you brought a book with you today.
I did.
And is this book out right now, or is this coming out soon?
This is out. This book came out this past September. And out of all my books, this is the first time I've written an entire book about I write both fiction and nonfiction.
Right.
I don't want to disappoint you, but Mighty Truck is fiction, so it's not a book about a real truck. It's pretend. You know what pretend is, right?
You know, I'm. Hold on a second. You're gonna have to give me a minute here, because I really thought that Mighty Truck was a nonfiction book.
All right.
I thought that there was a real truck that probably lived in your garage. Jeez. You know what though? That's okay. It's still inspiring.
All right.
It's inspiring to know that in your mind there's a truck that can be a superhero.
That's right.
And now it's in my mind.
And you can make up your own Mighty Truck stories now. So
that's right.
That's fiction.
Okay.
But I also write nonfiction. I love researching. I love writing true stories. So my most recent picture book is the first book I've ever made about a fellow real-life Texan of ours.
Ooh.
I'm assuming you're Texan.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Her name was Barbra Jordan. Have you heard of Barbra Jordan?
I'm aware of the Boulevard.
Yeah, so there are lots of references in Austin to Barbra Jordan. There is the Barbra Jordan Boulevard. Do you fly much, Van? Do you fly in and out of the airport very often?
I try not to.
All right.
Usually when I do, I'm in a box.
Okay, so when you've been in a box coming through baggage claim, you've been carried right past a statue of Barbra Jordan. So my newest book is called What Do You Do with a Voice Like That? The Story of Extraordinary Congresswoman Barbra Jordan. And this will be a treat for you because you're always in a box at this point.
Yeah.
This is the statue that you would see if you were on the outside of the box instead of on the inside of the box.
And that's right there in the airport?
This is an actual statue in the baggage claim section of the Austin airport.
How cool.
Yeah.
And so Barbra Jordan was a congresswoman, is that what you said?
She was. She was a native Texan. She was from Houston. She served for 6 years in the Texas State Senate in the late 60s and early 70s. And then she was elected to the U.S. Congress in 1972. And she served there for 6 years, and then came back to Texas to teach at the LBJ School of Public Affairs for the remaining 17 and a half years of her life.
Wow. And now, Chris, did you say, do you have a book in the works that's coming out soon?
I always have books in the
figured.
works. I've always, because it can take, this book took me a little over 5 years to make from the day I started actively working on it until it was published. That's about average for how long it takes one of my picture books. So if I were to do just one book at a time, I would maybe be working on my 4th book right now, because I've been at this for nearly 20 years since I got the idea I wanted to write. So yes, I have multiple books in the works right now. One that you may find interesting comes out.
I find them all interesting, by the way.
Okay,
not to
one,
interrupt.
one that you may find especially interesting.
Okay.
Comes out in March of next year, so right before TLA 2020. It's called Fire Truck versus Dragon.
Whoa.
So what's something that dragons are really good at?
Breathing fire.
What's something fire trucks are really good at?
Putting out fire.
Do you see the inherent conflict in this scenario?
I do indeed.
All right.
Chris, thank you so much for coming to the show. High five.
It's been my pleasure, Van.
All right, we're going to do a last thing. We're going to look in the camera and say goodbye.
All right.
All right, I'm going to snuggle up. 1, 2, 3.
Goodbye.